and welcome. You're watching Newsx and I'm Megha Sharma. We are talking about the unrest that has shaken Nepal and has raised concerns for India, for the subcontinent, and it has witnessed a lot of turmoil that is taking place in the country. Joining me on the telecast to share his views is the former Ambassador of India to Nepal, Ranjit Rae. Thank you very much, sir. And of course, I do want to understand from you about this latest information that we are getting about the former Chief Justice of Nepal, who has been propped by the locals, by the youth, to be the next Prime Minister of Nepal. What does this indicate? What is the perception that we get from what the sentiment of the people on the ground is?
Well, I think the sentiment on the people of the ground is for change. So they don't want anyone from the old established political parties and are looking for a new face. And former Chief Justice Sushila Karki's name is one of the names that is floating around. There are other names also.
Of course, Sushila Karki in the meantime has also issued a video. She's put it out on social media. She has appealed for calm and peace and tranquility in these uncertain times. I do want to understand from you, Ambassador, about what is going to be the likely impact. Are there repercussions that India will have to face in wake of this massive turmoil and ambiguity in Nepal?
Well, you know, it's always been in India's interest to have peace and stability in Nepal. We share a long, open border. We have very, very close relationships. You know, there are fraternal relationships, familial relationships. And Nepal is a very important country for us from the strategic perspective, from the cultural perspective, from the economic perspective. So we would like calm and stability to prevail in Nepal. You know, every time there is instability, then you have, you know, the country becomes more vulnerable to inimical forces and influences. So I think it's in our interest that, you know, the present turmoil is resolved early and Nepal gets back onto the path of, you know, peaceful progress.
I do want to understand from you, the Nepalese talk about the resentment, the frustration with the dispensation, with the elite, with the entrepreneurs, and the you know, special privileged treatment that they receive, while the masses are suffering because of unemployment, poor education, lack of jobs, low GDP percentage. This has all impacted the economy, and it is the common man that is suffering. But at the same time, there is a parallel sentiment talking about how there are countries like America and China that are vested, that may have a hand in this destabilization that has been taking place in Nepal for far too long now. What's your analysis of it?
My assessment is that this is largely a homegrown uprising, and there are many reasons for it. You've mentioned some of them. You know, another very major reason for discontent is the corruption, and the corruption amongst the top leaders of the major political parties. And the fact that these leaders together form coalition governments means that these corruption allegations are never fully investigated, and criminals are not brought to book. So there is a sense of impunity. Secondly, you know, the families, the so-called Nepo kids of these rich politicians are flaunting their luxurious lifestyles, whereas the ordinary Nepali is struggling. And as you said, you know, jobs are not available. People have to go abroad to find work. So these are some of the factors. But the trigger for the current uprising was really the ban on social media apps. And this really infuriated the youth, and they protested peacefully on the first day. It's only after 19 you know, young people were killed in brutal police firing that the agitation took this dramatic and very dangerous turn yesterday, when you know, apart from the houses of political leaders, all the state institutions were burnt down. The Supreme Court, the Parliament, the President's House, the Prime Minister's office. So, you know, this is something that is very serious, and it will have implications in terms of how the next government, the interim government, is going to organize itself and function.
You have spent time and
I think, as I said, this is largely a...
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is largely a homegrown uprising, and you know, it's we have seen these demonstrations throughout the country, and this coordination or mobilization by the young people has really been done by through social media. So I don't buy this logic that, you know, other countries are deeply involved, but I would caution and say that, you know, whenever there is instability, many forces can jump in to exploit it and take advantage of the situation.
You have spent significant time during your posting in Nepal as India's ambassador, India's envoy. What has your perception been on the ground? Keeping in mind that this unhappiness and anguish has been going on. It's not just a matter of the last 2-3 days. It has been simmering over a while now.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, the expectation was that after the new constitution is adopted, there will be stability, there will be progress, there will be economic development. And you know, this peace and prosperity dividend has not been received by the people. And the people feel that, you know, the leaders are responsible because of their corruption and so on. Now, one caution I would like to introduce here is that, you know, some people are disenchanted with the corrupt political leaders. But some people are also suggesting that, you know, the constitution itself has not delivered. So you need something different, something new, some changes have to be made. So, you know, you conflate the non-delivery of governance by political leaders to the non-delivery of the constitution. And depending on what your point of view is, it leads you to very, very different paths. One path suggests that you work under the framework of the present constitution. The other path suggests that the present constitution has not delivered, and so you have to get something different.
Also, I would like to hear your opinion about this turmoil. You take a look at Pakistan, which is a failed state. What has happened in Bangladesh, the ousting of Sheikh Hasina government. We take a look at Sri Lanka, something similar played out where Rajapaksas had to flee after this massive revolution that shook the entire country. Why do you think, is this all a coincidence that is taking place in the Indian subcontinent, or there's something more to it?
I think we live now in the world of social media. And everybody knows what's happening in their country outside. People's aspirations have grown significantly. People are worried about inequalities in their societies, so there is discontent. And if there is a sense of alienation and the political class does not have its ear to the ground and does not respond to the aspirations of the people and especially of the youth, then I think you're going to see these kinds of upheavals. So, you know, in some places you might have rigged elections, in some places you might have very corrupt leaders. So, you know, it's a combination of these factors. So I think, you know, these are critical issues to be looked at. And of course, I don't know much about Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, but, you know, I'm told that, you know, external forces were also involved. So it's a combination of factors.
And you know, we cannot expect that things are going to magically change in the next week after the appointment of the new Prime Minister in Sushila Karki. What constructive steps can the government take to transform Nepal from the dire states that it is in currently?
I think currently the most important thing is to bring some semblance of law and order and security. And I think the army chief is in control under the president of Nepal, and he has taken steps. The second step, and that's also happening, is to install an interim government in place. Who heads that government, you know, is not yet clear, though you have mentioned one name. But let's see what happens. There are other contenders as well. And I think that interim government obviously has to be accountable to, you know, some institution, maybe the parliament, or, you know, there needs to be some accountability. And I think that government then has to see the way forward in terms of how it will hold elections. Because sooner rather than later, you need a government that is elected by the people.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ambassador Rae, for joining me on the telecast, sharing your views and insights on this development.